Okay, welcome back to the channel. It's LFC Plavi once again, and this time it was Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0, and it was an absolute humiliation. It was a battering, it was a complete annihilation that I haven't really seen happen to this Liverpool team in a very, very long time. Now, this wasn't a game where we started slowly or anything of that sort. We didn't go there and try to sit back and give them the initiative to try and attack us and play on the transition. We didn't do that. Right from the off, you could see that where our intention was to press them, try to compete with them, go toe to toe with them. And that is what we did. For the first 40, 45, 42 minutes, I would say, in this game, I think we were okay in terms of moving the ball, trying to play out from the back. And if it doesn't work, go long. We were really getting some opportunities, even though we failed to capitalize. And that is the most disappointing thing, that in that first half, in that first 42 minutes where we were going toe to toe with them and actually popping the ball around them a bit in that first half, I think we created the best chances in the game in that first 42 minutes with that long ball from Mamadashvili to Salah, and Salah going one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He scarfed the chance completely. And I think we created another chance as well where I think it was Jones who laid it off to Ekitike and he blasted it over the bar. Those were the two best chances in the game, if I would recall. City had one with Cherky where a pass was threaded through to him in our penalty area by Bernardo Silva, and he failed to get the first touch right. If he had gotten the first touch spot on, that would have been a goal. So that was the first 42 minutes. But after we conceded the goal, which was, of course, a sloppy goal to concede, because Van Dijk made a mistake. I don't really know why he decided to stick his leg into it. He had no chance of winning the ball. So for me, the only thing or the only task for him was to prevent the player from turning. And I think he had already done that. He had already positioned himself in such a way that the player could not turn. But even before Van Dijk made the penalty, the way City was able to open us up with patient build-up, with passing and movement, they easily dismantled our defense. The organization was poor. So before the ball got to O'Reilly, Liverpool were panicking. Van Dijk was panicking. Konate was panicking because they really saw it. They saw that we were completely open. And actually, I think City should have taken the shots before the ball got to O'Reilly. I think someone had the ball where he could have easily shot the ball and scored. But they decided to go for the extra pass. So Liverpool panicked. It was panic stations all over the place, and that is what brought the penalty. So even in a bit to try and defend and keep it tight and prevent them from creating anything, we weren't good enough in keeping it tight because they were able to open us up so easily. Another thing in that first half, even though we were kind of matching them, you saw some very good movement and interchange of play between Ekitike and Vets. You could see Vets turning Rodri in the midfield with an excellent bit of skill, moving the ball into areas in that first half as well. In that first 42 minutes, you could see Vets sort of trying to exploit spaces in behind the City midfield and right in front of the City defense. So what he was doing was basically moving behind the defense and timing his run so that he pops up in front of them, but right behind the last man in the middle so that he can receive the ball on their blind side and turn. And he was able to do that, I think, 3 or 4 times in that first half. but then we couldn't really create good opportunities from that. And even when we did, it wasn't the finishing wasn't good enough. So apart from that, our defending, we decided that we're going to try and choose when to press and when to maintain a mid block. And I think we're doing that quite well. But when we did press, I realized something. There's even a short clip going around on Twitter or X where City were playing out from the back. I think that was posted from the Manchester City Twitter account. And they were saying how to play from the back. So they are commending themselves for doing a good job. But for me, that wasn't a good job from City. Actually, this whole game, this 4-0 win, is not down to City's brilliance. Never. You might say, why don't I give credit to the opponent and give them their flowers for doing well? No. City deserves no credit for this. The only reason why they won this game is because Liverpool weren't good enough. Liverpool were bad. They were poor. Because I've seen the City team get beat so easily by Manchester United. I've seen Michael Carrick train with his players only 4 days and beat the City team. I have seen an average Madrid side coached by Alvaro Arbeloa beat the City team home and away. So I'm not going to give credit to the City team. They are not good enough. So if you allow the City team to thrash you 4-0, then it means you are absolutely poor. You are bank average. And whoever is coaching that particular team who has been beaten by City 4-0 should put in a resignation letter right after the game. But I'll come back to the manager in a bit. The pressing wasn't good. In that first 42 minutes, whenever we decided to press, it was disorganized. We've seen teams. So my question is, why don't we watch what other teams do to City and replicate the same thing? How is that so difficult? You try to do your own thing, which is not good enough, and you get beat twice in the same season. You go for the third time and you repeat the same thing, the same nonsense that got you beat the first 2 times, and you get beat again. I mean, isn't this the definition of insanity? So we went in there trying to press with a 4, and the whole thing was just going with 2 up front and 2 behind as the 4, instead of lining up in a straight line of 4. We went in with 2 up front, trying to press the goalkeeper and the defenders and leaving spaces in behind for them to pass around us. I mean, what is the essence of that? Also trying to always leave a +1 at the back. I don't know the obsession with a +1 at the back when we are going to press and try to win the ball. What is the essence of a +1 at the back? We've seen Konate and Virgil van Dijk defend 1v1 situations for many years. So I don't really know why this manager doesn't trust them to be able to defend and always want to leave a +1 at the back so that we easily get played through and then we're on the back foot. What do you gain from that? Anytime we do that, we got beat. Against Chelsea, we did that with a +1 at the back. And Maresca was so good at exploiting that nonsense. And today, City were excellent at exploiting that same nonsense because they've all seen it. They've all seen that you like maintaining a +1 at the back, which is absolute nonsense. If you are going to press with all the vigor and all the players you have. And if you are not going to press, just sit back and defend well. So we are not good at pressing, this team. We are not good at attacking. And we are not good at defending. So even when we decide to sit back and soak pressure and play on the counter, we are not good enough to soak the pressure. And that is why we lost the game by that margin. So we concede that first goal through a penalty. And then right before the end of the first half, Antoine Semenyo gets the ball on the line, crosses it into the middle of the goal, and Haaland is running in front of Konate to head the ball in. We concede at the very last minute of the first half, before we go into the break. Now we go into the break, we come back with the idea that we are going to get the first goal in the second half and maybe see if we can get the equalizer. But lo and behold, Liverpool contrive to concede a third goal very early on in the second half. So really, this game was done and dusted by the 68th minute. The game was absolutely done and dusted in the 68th minute. We had nothing to play for anymore. So I don't blame the players for giving up. I don't blame the players for not wanting to run anymore, because that game was done and dusted. There was no way you were going to get back into the game. The only way we could have gotten back into the game was getting the first goal in the second half. The moment we conceded that third goal, that was it. The game was done. Now, to the manager. What the Liverpool hierarchy are trying to do, basically, what we've heard from journalists close to the team who have sources inside the team, is that they are going to give him up to the end of the season, and they will assess the performance and decide whether they want to continue with the manager or not. And I think that is not the right decision. Up until now, if the hierarchy are telling us that they haven't seen enough to sack this manager, then they themselves have a problem, because they can't see. From what we are seeing right now, if there was any hope that it was going to get better, it would have started already. If not before the international break, this very first game we played against City, it would have shown that things are going to get better. Now, the thing about getting better before the season ends is that if we are able to actually do that, it is going to trickle down into next season, and we are going to start the season much better than we have played in this particular season. But if we leave it and allow this manager to carry the team to the end of the season, bringing in a new manager, we are going to start the next season the way we ended the season. That is what is going to happen. So if we don't get rid of the manager, now my question is even the fact that, could Liverpool have done worse without a manager? Let's say for the past 3 months, Liverpool didn't have any manager. I look at the games we've performed well in, the games that we failed to win, and I'm absolutely convinced that this team wouldn't have done any worse if we didn't have any manager at all. Let's say we sacked the manager, we didn't have any manager, the players went to training and just went onto the pitch and played themselves. I don't think we would have done worse, because the teams that we've lost against are teams where you expect the manager to have an influence and try to get the players up for those games, and we haven't been up for those games. The games that we've been able to play well and win are games where you don't need a manager to motivate the players. You don't need the manager to get the players up and firing to play those games. Against Galatasaray at home, the players knew what was at stake. They themselves went out there and did the job. Now the issue is that, why are we not able to replicate that performance on a consistent basis? And that comes from the manager. It comes from the top. I don't think the manager himself at the beginning of the season did anything to derail or to demotivate the players or to prevent them from getting the best energy in every single game. That is not the manager's fault. But the issue is that since he is the manager and he has failed to consistently get these players up and firing and motivated enough to play for the badge, to play for the club, and to play for him as the manager, he is not the best man. Arne Slot has run his race. He will never be able to turn this thing around. The slump that Liverpool have gotten into will not be turned around by Arne Slot. And the earlier we recognize that, the better for everybody. And for me, he should have gone right after the second loss to City at Anfield, that 2-1 loss. That is when Arne Slot should have left. Because in that very game, we came into the game at Anfield in our home ground with our supporters, sat back in that first half, allowed them to have the ball, not put in any fight, not rile them up, not battle with them, and allow them to play the entire first half. In the second half, we kind of came back, got a fluke of a free kick goal, and thought we were going to win the game. But because it was a fluke, and by definition, a fluke is something that happens by chance. It is luck. It is not due to consistent effort to try and achieve something. And that is why we lost that game. So for me, that game, the whole 90 minutes was atrocious. And you get this manager coming to press conferences and saying that we played much better in that game. I mean, what absolute bollocks to say from a manager. And for me, I don't even want to hear the manager speak anymore. I don't know about you, but hearing the manager speak is absolutely infuriating for me. And I don't want to see him speak anymore. I don't want to hear what he has to say. Now I just watch the games. I don't watch any pre-match press conference, post-match press conference, because they are all absolute nonsense. So this manager should have gone, and it is not too late to let him go. Now the issue with letting the manager go is that if we are able to let the manager go and get someone in, we are likely to have a new manager bounce. But even if we don't have a new manager bounce, it will not be worse than what we are seeing now. So we have nothing to lose by sacking this manager now and bringing in a new person. I'm not going to sit here and tell you who to bring in, because that is not my job. I'm not paid to bring in a new manager. There are people in the club who have been paid to bring in the best manager for the squad, given the circumstances. And this manager is not the right person. He and his backroom staff, they should all go. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Sipko Holshoff, all these guys should go. Just because of the manner in which we've lost some of these games. It is not about losing the game, but the lack of fight. The fact that we go into games with no plan. And what any manager is going to tell you is that there is no game where they don't go with a plan. So what I'm going to say to you is that if they go in with a plan, then those plans have always been atrocious. And the fact that they go in with a bad plan and we end up losing the game and playing poorly on top of that is the reason why all these people should go. And I know that they are not going to do that. They are going to wait till the end of the season. And as I've said, this is going to trickle down into next season. Even if we bring in a new manager, if we don't end the season well on a high, next season is going to be even more bad performances. The performances are so poor. They are absolutely poor. We have 2 months remaining in the season. And next week, from the way we are playing, PSG are going to knock us out of the Champions League. And if that happens, playing for the top 5, we've seen that these players do not have the motivation to fight for top 5. What is going to happen after we get knocked out of the Champions League is that players are going to save themselves for the World Cup. They are not going to care about Champions League next season. The World Cup is the most immediate thing that they care about. And they are not going to kill themselves. They are not going to put in the effort to try and qualify for Champions League next season. So it is going to be Europa League. And that is why we need to sack this manager right now, because he is not able to get the players all singing from the same hymn sheet. And this is April. You've had this team for all this while, and you've not been able to get them to gel and play the way that we all expect them to play. And that is a failure. For me, it is a failure. The manager has only 1 year left on his contract. And before he begins next season, ideally, he should be given a new contract. So based on these performances that we are seeing, and based on what we've seen, the results that we've seen this season, is anybody in the Liverpool hierarchy going to tell us that this manager deserves another contract extension? Because he can't be in his last year and still be working for Liverpool. He needs to have an extension before next season begins. So you are going to look into people's faces, insult their intelligence, Liverpool fans who understand the game, and tell them that this manager deserves to have an extension, and therefore you are going to keep him for next season, give him another year or so to turn things around. That shouldn't happen in this team. Now, this manager has made us believe that Liverpool is not a good team. We have individual players who are very, very good. They go to their countries during international breaks and they perform well. But when they come to Liverpool, they forget how to play football. And that is something that has to do with the coaching, the management. And it is not all about what happens on the field. It is about off the field as well. And sometimes when these players show up in many a game this season, you've seen that you notice that these players have not been mentally and physically prepared adequately to play the game. they start games and immediately you see that physically they are not there, mentally they are not there. It has been consistent throughout the season. And whose responsibility is it to prepare these players physically and mentally to be able to play games of football? To even not to even play games of football, but just to start a game of football in a way that tells you that indeed this team is ready for the game. We've seen it many a time this season. I'm not going to even talk about the midweek game against PSG because I know what we are going to see. We are going to see a lethargic performance. We are going to see a team that is unable to create chances consistently. We are going to see a team that is not able to defend well, gives the opponent chances, leaves gaps. That is what is going to happen. And now to Mo Salah before I end the video. We had a penalty in this game I think it was at 4-0. Mo Salah took the penalty. It wasn't a bad penalty. It wasn't into the bottom corner, quite, but he hit it hard. The only issue is that the goalkeeper read him. And he didn't stop 1 second to look at what the goalkeeper was doing. He just went straight, chose his spots, and tried to hit it as hard as he can. And he missed it. And this is the Mo Salah we've been dealing with this season. This is the Mo Salah we've been dealing with this season. And that should tell you why Liverpool have struggled. Mo Salah hasn't been himself. And the fact that he hasn't been himself right from the beginning of the season, and this manager has not been able to do anything about that. I don't care what he does, whether he puts him on the bench, whether he speaks to him, he tries to encourage him, he tries to work on his psyche, whatever. There are a number of things or a number of options that were available for this manager to be able to turn things around for Mo Salah, help him. We haven't seen anything like that. The player has been on his own, trying to figure things out himself, and it hasn't worked. On top of that, there has been misunderstanding between himself and the manager, and that has also not gone down well. So we haven't seen the best of Mo Salah, and that is one of the reasons why we are struggling. And for a manager who came in to a team in your first season, got the best out of the player, and in the second season, when the player begins to struggle, you are not able to get him out. And that is what has happened to the entire squad. The manager, the players have not been themselves. And the manager has not been able to do anything about that. And if you can't do that, you can't be a Liverpool manager. If players are struggling and you can't help them to get out of those struggles, you can't be a Liverpool manager. It is as simple as that. Let's even forget about tactics. Let's forget about team strategy and the plan for games. If players are struggling for whatever reason, and as a manager, that is why you are called a manager. People say head coach, and forget about head coach. The guy is a manager. You manage situations, you manage players, you manage people who are human beings, and that is what you need to do as a Liverpool manager. And Arne Slot has failed on every single metric. Whichever way you want to see how a manager should operate, Arne Slot has failed. And it is not surprising because he hasn't found himself in a similar situation before. He hasn't been able to successfully manage a team that is struggling, a team that has played well in the past, begin to struggle, and he being the one to turn things around. He hasn't been able to do that in his career. He goes into teams, he starts building the team, it works, and then he keeps going on that path. He hasn't experienced ups and downs and ups and downs in his career before. And that is the reason why I think he has struggled. I think in the summer when the news of Diogo Jota's tragedy came, the players had planned to meet to begin preseason. That got disrupted. In the first meeting, what we are hearing is that the manager didn't know what to say. The manager was struggling to find words to say. And that is all okay because that was the beginning. Now we've been in this situation. This has been 9 or 8 months after. So if you still haven't been able to figure out a way to help them, what is the guarantee that next season you'll be able to help these players get back to where they need to be? There's no guarantee. So for me, the manager should have gone a long time ago, both tactically, managerially, managing situations, managing the human side of things. The guy has failed atrociously. It has been pathetic, and that is why I think he should go. And as I said earlier on, against PSG, I'm not expecting anything. Against Fulham, after the PSG game, it is going to be even worse. The performance against Fulham, and the reason why it is going to be even worse is that these players are going to be tired from playing against PSG. And so against Fulham at home at Anfield, the only thing I expect is anger at the end of the game from fans. There's going to be booing. The manager is going to be booed at the end of the Fulham game. Take it from me right now. Don't say nobody said it, because this is what is going to happen. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. Also comment down below and let me know your thoughts. See ya.